Well, good morning. I'm back for my weekly video. The first thing I should mention is that this is Monday morning, which is a bit unusual. I try to do these videos on Sunday, but I'm switching off. So you may get this a little later than you're used to. The reason why I'm switching off is that I want to incorporate data that we get on Monday morning related to our dashboards and our metrics. And so I think it's important that I communicate what's going on the campus with you in terms of COVID-19, and I get that data early on Monday morning, so you'll have the latest. In terms of statewide, there has been a bit of a surge lately. At the latter part of last week on Friday, for example, there were more new cases than at any point since latter part of April. So that's a bit concerning. We still haven't had the full impact of Labor Day weekend. So something certainly to watch out for. In terms of Wayne State, we're continuing to do well. Our 3-day rolling average for new cases is, our 7-day is at about 1 per day. Our 3-day is 1.33, which is a little higher than the 7-day, which means that there's been a slight uptick over the latter part, the last few days versus a longer time period. So something certainly to watch out for, but we are well below the trigger metric of more than 15 new cases over a 7-day period. So we're doing okay there. In terms of Detroit, the positivity is somewhere around 2.5%. One of our trigger metrics is what's happening in Detroit, and we're well within range there. The trigger metric for percent positivity in Detroit is greater than 15% over 7 days. So we're doing well there. However, as I mentioned, Labor Day impact is still not been fully felt, and so we have to continue to watch what happens and continue to be vigilant. I do want to take this time, though, to thank our students, our faculty, and our staff. I walk around the campus a lot, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, and I see people throughout the campus as I'm walking, and people are doing a good job. They're gathering, but they're social distancing. They're wearing masks. It just seems to me that our university community is taking this very seriously, and I just want to express my appreciation to our students, our faculty, and our staff. I know that it's not easy. It is difficult, and sometimes when I go to walk Quincy, I'll just run out and I'll forget my mask, and Jacqueline has to remind me. So I know that it is difficult, but when I see people walking around, invariably they are masked. It's the exception when I see someone who is not, and so continue the good job. Census is tomorrow, and our final enrollment numbers are the official as of tomorrow. As of Friday, our first time in any university numbers, our freshman students were still very, very strong. We anticipate the largest freshman class in the history of the university, the largest number of African Americans in over a decade, and the largest number of Hispanics since at least 2005, when we have good data. So probably in the history of the university also for the largest number of Hispanics. So we're doing well in terms of freshmen. Some people wonder if that's going to positively impact our budget. Certainly it'll help, but total enrollment is more important than freshman enrollment as far as the budget is concerned. And unfortunately, we have slipped a little bit in total enrollment, particularly with our international students and our graduate students, many of whom are international. So our total enrollment is going to be down slightly, flat to down slightly. On Friday, it was down by about 1.8%. One of the things that we obviously are going to have to do is really start focusing on our graduate students. We do have a new graduate school dean who is going to really make that a high priority. And we probably need to really start focusing on domestic students for our graduate school, whereas in the past, many of our graduate students were international students. That group of students, the international students, I think are going to be affected adversely for years to come. So we'll work on that for the coming years. Since I mentioned the budget, I should say that we're just about nearing completing the budget recommendations for the board to vote on at the September 25th board meeting. Our new budget cycle starts in October. It's a difficult time. We do have to make up a $26 million deficit. That's assuming that the state doesn't cut us next year, which we still don't know. But assuming they don't, we still have to make up a $26 million deficit. And it's tough. I'll talk more about the budget next week when we have more information. But it is going to be tough. Let me just finish off with books, finish off on a more lighter note. Finished reading Manhattan Beach, which is the book I mentioned last week that I was completing. The thing I'll say about it is it's right after it's based on the time period is right after the Depression, or the latter part of the Depression, and into World War II. Excuse me. The setting is New York, and it's revolves around three characters. A man named Ed Kerrigan, who was impacted by the Depression and was doing some odd jobs for a union boss. Nothing illegal, but nothing really steady either in terms of a job. He had a daughter, Annie, or Anna, who was started. The book started when she was a little girl, about 12 years old. Used to accompany her father all the time. And then another man, Dexter Stiles, who was a nightclub owner who hired Ed Kerrigan, and that's when Ed started doing, a few questionable things. And it fast forwards to when Anna is older, is a young adult, and let's just say that the three characters their relationships become very intertwined. And it is a very good read. It's entertaining, nothing really heavy about it. It's a nice period piece. The book I'm reading now, I'm very excited about. It's called Homegoing by Yagyasi. And she is a fantastic writer. I was actually looking at another book called Transcendent Kingdom, which is an instant New York Times bestseller, and which was her current book. But I decided to read Homegoing because that was her first book, and it's a book that gave her critical acclaim. And so I thought I would read that one first. And I have to say, I'm not going to give away what the book is about right now. I'm about halfway through it. But I will say this, it's a page turner. It's not as light as Manhattan Beach. It just draws you in, and it's a bit deep. I'll tell you more about it next week when I've completed it. In the meanwhile, continue to do all the things that make all of us warriors safe. Thank you very much.